other than being President of the Republic of the Philippines. So kindly, would you like to comment on that?
Then why didn't she run? If she had it in the bag, she should have... Dapat tumakbo siya. You know, I mean, 2025 na eh. 20, di ba? Ngayon mo pa sasabihin yan. Di sana tumakbo siya. Tsaka yung presidency, dapat para sa kanya yun. Sorry. Kasi, di ba, I mean, what was that statement for? Then she should have filed to be president, to run for president. But she didn't. She filed to run for vice president.
Would you also like to comment on this statement? Yes. I think this is particularly na for the House members. Wag nila ako i-gaslight into saying na ako ang dahilan ng kaguluhan na ito. Ang kaguluhan na ito ay nagsimula sa terrorism nila, sa harassment nila, sa threats nila sa mga personnel of the Office of the Vice President. I mean, particularly about the Good Government Committee hearing po.
To put it quite frankly, hindi naman, you know, of Congressman Valeriano. And in the course of those hearings, ang daming lumabas. Ang daming acknowledgement receipts, ang daming lumabas na ang dami. Hindi naman, di ba, kami, nagpapagod kami, nagpupuyat kami para silipin yung mga dokumento na yon para isa-isahin. And ang dami naming nakikita. In fact, marami pa kaming nakita na hindi pa namin na itatanong. So, hindi siya terrorism on our part na we're terrorizing the OVP. Had they answered the questions from the very beginning, then sana tapos na sana yung mga hearings ngayon. Ang problema, they spent so much time not attending the hearings, and now that they are attending, di ba? So, kung sana nung umpisa pa lang pumunta na sila, then sana tapos na, nasagot na sana nila. Yun lang. Uy, sumagot ka.
Well, ganito kasi Maria, no? We're actually promote what we're trying to exercise here is the mandate of this office. I mean the mandate of the legislature. The only way for us to really find out is to hold these inquiries, no? And to hold anybody accountable. Yun lang man talaga yung pinaka gusto natin mangyari in aid of legislation. Tama po yung sinabi ni Kong Pami na we are not pinpointing directed to the office which he occupies right now, which the Vice President occupies right now. Hindi naman ho natin kasalanan yun, di ba? Sabi nga ni Fami Tadhana, nagkataon po nang naging Vice President siya. So number one, the issue is there. There are so many questions that up to now have not fully answered. There are so many questions and the manner by which these confidential funds were spent. There are questionable ARs to a point that there was a deliberate refusal to attend, to a point of sa palagay ho namin sa committee it's an attempt to that can rectify these wrongs. So ganun lang po. I think we should focus on the issue and not to dwell on and to promote transparency
of TV5. I think the two quotes mentioned were interrelated in the sense na nalilis po yung issue. She's answering the issue by bringing up politics, yung presidency. But I think what we have to note here is that this issue goes way back po, no? Before the Good Government Committee and before people were talking about dahil po ito ay in relation to the presidency, whether 2022 or 2028, we had questions na po. And this started with no other than yung sa budget hearings natin, which was the question is really how the budget was, although it had its corresponding slash in the budget, it's not sufficient po. And kaya nga po pumasok yung good government. So to answer the issue by saying po that this is related pa man or if it's about the future presidency, we have to set it aside because what we're talking about here is yung accountability doon sa expenditure of the confidential funds. And it just goes to show, it goes back to that po, no? We've had this question during the budget, we've had it near the committee hearings, and we will continue to have it until we answer our questions during the budget. Baka tapos na po yung we wouldn't have had to come to that committee hearing. So I think that's where we're coming from. This is a mandate constitution, power of the purse, together with oversight. Yun lang naman po yung inatupag po namin dito. Yan lang. Thank you.
So medyo nakakapanibago kasi wala pa po sa calendar natin any good government or quad committee hearing. May effect po ba yung impact, I mean yung message ni PBBM with that? May ceasefire ba?
Yung sa good government, we were supposed to meet Friday. I remember, ako yun, I actually called the chairman na nabanggit nga ng ating vice president na she was going to skip the NBI, yung patawag ng NBI, dahil kailangan niyang pumunta sa hearing. Actually, dapat nung Friday nag-hearing tayo. And then, for sure naman, within the day or tomorrow, maglalabas kami ng schedule.
Kasi in the first place, we're not in war with anybody. We are not doing this against anybody. We are actually doing our job. There's a question of accountability. There's the issue on upholding transparency in government affairs. Ito po ay mandato ng legislatura. Ito po ay binigay ng Constitution na dapat, hindi lang mandato, it's an obligation and responsibility. So I don't see why some people look at this as something na giyera. So to me, hindi ho ceasefire. We just do our job. We'll continue to do our job. And wala po kaming ginigera sino man o kanino man.
Well, again, in addition to that lang po siguro, Marian, no? Binanggit po earlier, it's related to an earlier question. And I think regardless po no, of yung ceasefire na sinasabi kung meron man, it's really a matter of consideration for the committee na baka po yung resource persons are still gathering, availability of the congressmen. We've seen as early as Friday last week, as according to Congresswoman Zamora, we were supposed to have a hearing. So tuloy-tuloy naman po talaga. It's just these considerations. But just parang sinasabi, it's an intentional move to cause harm of sorts in parang gera. Like have always been calling, we've always been saying earlier, let's set aside politics po. We're just doing our job here. We're talking about transparency and accountability. So dun lang naman po yung issue natin. Whether or not the scheduling has a problem, I think that's separate naman po. But I do believe from our understanding, tuloy pa rin po yung Quadcom and good government.
Okay na, Ms. Marian?
Thank you, Marian.
Thank you. Melalis Moras from PTV4.
Speaking of
Speaking of good government hearing lang po, can I just ask yung ano po yung naging basis dun sa pag-release ng release order kay Attorney Zulaika Lopez and moving forward? Yung nung weekend, nung Sabado po kasi nag-release na yung House Committee on Good Government ng release order kay Attorney Zulaika Lopez. Paano po tayo nalang po natin dun sa order? And moving forward, yun po, nag-commit po ba si Attorney Zulaika sa committee na haharap pa rin siya sa mga susunod na pagdinig?
Ang alam ko kasi yung maximum na penalty for the contempt is actually 5 days. No, it was extended for 5 days. And number two, the consideration also is that yung medical condition ni Attorney Zulaika, she was admitted at the Veterans Medical Center, and prior to her yung pag-discharge sa kanya, I think our Secretary General ang SAA communicated with the doctor, the physician attending Attorney Zulaika, and the decision of the committee was to release her based on the number of days that she was cited under contempt for a detention. So yun po yung naging consideration. Remember yung detention niya she was supposed to be transferred to correctional, but due to medical issues, the committee decided to allow her to be admitted at the Veterans Medical Center. But sinabi naman po niya, I guess yung sa sulat niya, sinabi na she will cooperate should the committee continue on hearing the case of the OVP, DepEd. OVP ba? And DepEd. confidential funds. Nag-assure naman siya na she'll be attending the next committee hearings.
Opo. So next hearing, Kong Zia, expected natin na harap si Attorney Zulaika Lopez as well as yung apat na naka-firm.
Yes, if there's no medical problem or immediate medical attention that she might need, I guess there's no reason for her not to attend.
Sorry, baka lang po may info din kayo. Si Mark Taguba po ay pinayagan na ng Bureau of Corrections na manatili nga dito sa House. Ano po yung magiging process doon if we have info? Hanggang kailan po kaya dito siya dito mag-stay? And ano po ba yung process pagka convicted yung nasa mas mahigpit po ba yung security? Kung meron lang po tayong info about it.
Merong request for transfer. Oh, yeah. Yes. Si Mark Taguba kasi during our last hearing, ito si George can also say something about the request. Si Mark Taguba kasi he's been receiving death threats, no? So he requested committee hearing that it would be, I guess, safer kasi yung pag-transport kasi ng mga resource persons requested, and then pumayag naman po sila kasi it also happened to other resource persons. So it would be more convenient and easier for us to request these resource persons anytime that should their attendance or their presence are needed, no? In the Quadcom. So yun lang po yung nag-request.
Hearing po yung
Alam ko until such time that the committee will file its committee report, determination of the Quadcom, and that's the time that Mark Taguba will also have to return back to where he is imprisoned. No?
Thank you po.
Hello. Morning, Kongs. I'm Chino from GMA7. I'd just like to ask, while it's clear that yung work of the Quadcom and the other committees on investigating the alleged irregularities may or may not lead to safeguard against someone that might actually stymie the impeachment process by filing a defective complaint. May mga ganun ba kayong pag-uusap na, somebody just file a defective complaint and then it'll be barred for, I think, a year, pagkatapos nun, diba? So, is there safeguards or are there talks about that?
Sorry, sir. I won't be able to talk about safeguard. Well, for one, I don't think it's been discussed. If there have been discussions on safeguards regarding that issue, probably beyond our circles. Kami po were just members here. But from a pending complaint for impeachment, in either of the three modes, I think if it is defective, the third mode would be eliminated right away because I don't think 1/3 of the House would vote on that and promote that. But for a defective impeachment complaint to have been filed and to be endorsed by a congressman or congresswoman in either of the that defective complaint, I think these two would still have to go through the Justice Committee, and I think that's where they would thresh out the defective complaint. But whether that would trigger the 1-year ban under the Constitution, I'm not too familiar. But I think that's the safeguard in the rules, is that it would be...
Sirs, ma'am. Kuha lang po kami ng reaction dun po sa hinihiling na investigation sa NBI ni Kong Barbers dun sa mga vloggers na yung organized vloggers na nagkakalat daw ng maling impormasyon. Kong J.
Just to start lang po,